Hello, everyone. Today is the next day after a harrowing 24 hours for both of you. You have tried in as good of ways you can to settle yourself, but these emotions still sit heavy in your body and they still bite at your mind. And it's hard for you to act like everything is okay. You both find yourself going to the only point of contact you know will have answers. And it's painful to see other students acting like they're fine. There is a tension on campus, sure. But it is so much less, to the point where you feel envious. And it almost seems to grate on your exhausted countenances. I would like for both of you to tell me if there's anything in particular that you do on your way to meet Professor Onyx. And after that, we will have you both meet up again.
I think Felyn doesn't do much. She's already started her little bit of a setup in the biblioplex at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all she's doing is sort of grabbing a few of the materials she's been looking at, and she's walking with a fucking purpose.
I can believe that. Dove?
I think so. Dove would probably be either approaching here from either Prismari or after going to classes for the day,
Mm-hmm.
which, if it was the day after this all happened, I think they're just working on instinct at that point. I think they attend I think they attend their class.
Yeah, you would have
and
had to go to class.
they take notes,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't look like Dove. They don't say anything. They don't interact with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And they just are quiet and they take notes the whole time and then they just leave.
Okay.
And this could either be at the end of the day or like between when they have to go to work or something. I don't mind either way, but
Yeah.
I think they've just been going through the day on instinct.
Yeah, 100%. I will say, on that note, let's say that it's before work, because I could actually talk to you about how working would be also really difficult.
Sure.
Um,
And then I can describe what I look like really quick unless you had something else.
Oh no, it was just me. It's not technically something else. I'm just saying that working would actually be really hard for you. Because people know that something happened. And at the very least, Mina would have to know it's you for you to work. So that's a fun conversation for later.
That is a fun conversation for later. I would love to have that conversation later. I don't think when people are just like, who the hell are you? Or you even Dove? Dove's not gonna be like, don't ask me who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna tell people. If they figure it out, they figure it out. And if they don't, then Dove would tell them. It's not really a secret. It's just, it's, why. But...
Yeah, it's for comfort reasons. But I'm just saying that, people obviously are going to want to talk about it, and that's painful, is what I meant.
They would not want to talk about it. We can talk about that later, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's see. I don't have anything picked out in mind, but I'm thinking that it probably follows the pattern of what Dove has looked like over the course of this week, which is, I think, that it's a mask, but all of their emotions or just desperation, lack thereof, have kind of bled through to create this mask that's really dull and lifeless, and that there's not really like light in the eyes of this like person. I think maybe it's just a human, maybe like a human man. And I think he has really pale skin and probably like I'm sorry, I'm trying to really quickly like maybe just like short, plain, dull, like brown hair
Mm-hmm.
and like glassy, lightless blue eyes.
Ooh.
Like a
Nice.
really forgettable appearance. It's
Mm-hmm.
really there's like no shine to the hair, there's no light to the eyes. There's almost like dark circles under the eyes.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea that the masks that Dove are putting up is almost like not convincing.
Yeah.
You're not putting in
It
the effort to make it look like a real person. I think that's really
yeah,
cool.
it's not uncanny valley
Yeah.
exactly, but there's no personality to them. They
Mm-hmm.
all look different, but they all look similar in that way, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
not made with love or care or like with a personality in mind.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's not those little details that make people unique and make people believable whenever you generally make personas, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. You guys both do that. You guys, I assume are coming at. I feel like you guys have different vibes where it's like, Felyn is frantic and desperate, and Dove is. Dove also has that sort of desperation of like but it's almost like introspective. I feel like Dove's focus is the regret that this has happened, and I think that that's
Hmm.
really fascinating because I feel like that means that when you guys meet up, um, in Witterson's hall, and you go to where you know Professor Onyx's office is, and you see each other in the hallway, you are coming with different emotions and different vibes, almost different paces of walking, different levels of disarray. Um, and you both reach the door at about the same time and look up at each other. And I would love for you guys to have a conversation.
Uh, would you like to go first, Felyn, or should I?
I would love for you to go first.
I think when they look up and see each other in the hallway, I think the man just kind of freezes midway and kind of just stares at Felyn almost like he saw a ghost. And I think he just goes, Felyn?
uh, am I? Do I get the vibe that this is perhaps Dove, or is this still just a random man in front of me?
I
Uh,
think. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you can answer if you want to.
I think it's entirely up to if you think you. I don't want to say have the brain capacity because I know Felyn is really smart, but I also know that Felyn is really distracted. I think you should think about if you think that you would be able to insight that you know this person. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make you roll. I just think about if you think that Felyn would even be able to pick up on it right now, because I know that you are also really fucked up.
It's very true. I think once he says her name, Felyn is just gonna kind of stop and kind of like squint and say, "Yes."
Hmm. I think with that expression, I think I don't even think Dev is going to fight it. I don't even think they're going to say anything. I think they just drop it immediately.
Oh, interesting.
Oog.
That's fun. I love agony.
I think
If you don't have anything to say, I can think of some things.
yes.
I think Dev is going to drop it and they look all kinds of out of whack. Like Dove has looked scared before, obviously, but Dove has never looked so fucked up. You've never seen Dove look like not trying to keep it together. Like when, aside from like that one time they were like scared of like the thing or like whenever they get into a fight, but like the whole time that you've seen Dove has been trying so hard to keep up this like appearance, and it's all just gone. It's completely shattered. Um, and I think they don't say anything for just a moment after they drop that, but they look at Felyn and they just look so like broken and so sad, and I think they just say, I'm I'm sorry I didn't go back to the dorm. How are you doing?
And this is where the recognition hits.
Agony.
Agony. I think her eyes are gonna go a bit wide as she's just kind of realizing. And she's not even looking for a surface to set the books and shit down. She's just putting them down anywhere, and is just going to go up and give them a hug.
Oh, I was also thinking that I wanted Dove to just hug Felyn, but I didn't know how she was gonna be. I think they just hug her, and I think they hug her really tightly.
I really like that because I feel like so you could like look around and put them down, but I feel like the emotions of this scene almost feels like you probably just drop them to the ground because they don't matter as much as getting to them.
Yeah.
Man.
She's gonna hug onto them very tightly. And she's just gonna say, I'm sorry I didn't look for you.
I should be the one apologizing. I should have been there for you.
She's gonna give kind of a bit of a wet laugh, getting a bit emotional. She's gonna wipe her face and shake her head, and say, No, I'm sure you had your reasons. I haven't exactly been present.
Neither have I, if you didn't notice.
Yes, what is... I have not seen this face before.
Oh, what? Sorry, what?
She was saying that she hasn't seen this face before.
They kind of give like a dry laugh and they say, because it didn't exist before this. I've been using many faces over the course of this past day. I didn't want anyone approaching me. And it's hard for me to feel like I deserve to be Dove or to have what this name stands for right now.
I think Felyn is gonna look like pained almost, in the sense of, I don't know, I feel like she feels for this feeling that Dove is having.
Yeah.
And is just gonna hug them again. And say, whenever you're ready to be Dove again, I'll be here, okay?
Thank you.
Big oog.
I think when she says that, I think Deb would go back into that mask that they were before. And I think they also drop their normal voice and just go back to the other one, which I'm not doing with an accent.
That's fair.
And I think they'll just say, So, you came here to see Onyx as well?
Oh, yes. Oh, right. And she's gonna quickly gather up the books that she dropped.
What have you been doing since it happened?
Well, it it might be a fruitless endeavor. I figured that if I could perhaps do some research on the planes and how they interconnect with each other, I could perhaps see if there is maybe a likelihood, a percentage chance that they could end up somewhere more specific, or just anything that could help us find them.
I'm so glad you're here. I haven't been able to do anything.
Well,
Felyn,
yeah.
do you want to know an interesting piece of information that you might have uncovered in your frantic research?
Yes.
And this is something that I actually think twists the knife.
Oh god.
When planeswalkers planeswalk, when they shift from plane to plane, it is a specific kind of magic that happens very effortlessly. But it is still a magic. And it has been studied and pointed out that planeswalkers that can planeswalk can actually travel through the trail of another one who has planeswalked. And you realize that the only reason you could not figure out where Motiva is because none of you have the spark yet.
Ugh.
That's fun.
That's fun.
That's a fun thing that Felyn would know.
I think Felyn is gonna try and organize herself a little bit, straighten herself up, and say, "Alright, well, you were here to meet with Onyx, yeah? As well, yes?"
I have an out of character question really quick, God.
Yeah, what's up?
Would we have heard that Onyx dropped her classes at this point?
I actually do not think so. Let me check really quick. I can check the article.
That was just going to be one of my questions, but if not, that's fine.
So here is the thing. Here's the thing. This is the publication that came out the day after, right? It just happened, right? I need you to think about if you think that Dove would have went out of his way to get the Strixhaven star for this week. To know if you have heard about it yet. And I think that it could go either way, but I think that if you had bought it, you would have had at least an inkling that it could have talked about what happened. So it depends on if you think you would have put yourself through that or not.
I think they actually would have, because even if it really hurt to read about that, there was also the really small chance that it could have mentioned something that helped them.
Mm-hmm,
Or like
that's really
it
fun.
could have mentioned like it was a long shot, you know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
it could have had something that like about this that could have helped.
Yeah, no, 100%. I totally get that. So there's your tidbit. I'm actually gonna pause really quick. Okay, you can go ahead now.
Dove was going to say that I am here to see Onyx. I had some questions and I had some words to say to her that I don't know that you would want to be there for.
Felyn will hold out her hand, and she will say, "Would you have me that anyway?"
It would be nice to have the company. And Dove will take her hand.
This shit's soft. Nice.
She will squeeze hand and say, "We do it together."
We do it together. I'm
What do you do?
assuming we go
Yeah.
knock on the door.
Oh, you're gonna knock?
knock.
You said you're gonna knock
Is
on
it-
the door?
Yeah?
You get an instant answer as a voice calls out saying she's not taking appointments right now.
Oh, it's not her?
It is a magical enchantment on the door.
Oh.
Please, we need to see her.
How loud do you think you're talking?
I think at a normal volume.
Okay, because this, you can tell as you are saying this to this door, it doesn't seem to say anything else. And you can kind of glean that it is just a reaction to somebody trying to knock on the door to get her attention. I'm
Could
willing
we
to
try
share
the
that.
handle?
Yeah. I think Felyn is going for the handle.
Yeah, you can open the door. It's not locked.
Step.
Yeah. So you go ahead and open it, and you kind of open to Onyx's office, which you've only seen, I believe, one time. I believe you guys have only been there one time to talk to her. And you see that it is the same sort of decor as most Witherbloom's rooms are, with this sort of like dark color scheme, very gothic architecture. A big window in the back, and you see that she is actually currently moving around the room, and it's very easy to make the observation that she is getting some things together. And you see that she doesn't even look up from what she's doing to say, if you have any questions, you can ask other professors or administration. I am currently taking a leave.
It
And
has to be you.
You see her go to stop, and she goes to look at you, and there's this interesting framing as she goes to like look at you, and she still looks like she's getting her things together, but you see a feature that was not super present the last time that you came through, as there's this sort of small oil painting of a man on the wall behind her. I can actually send it in because I don't think I sent it in the first time.
Yes.
Which is why I'm pointing it out now. Sorry, it's extremely low poly. It's because I got it from the card.
Oh, that's great.
A man.
Oh, man.
A man. She is going to look at you, Dove, since you said something. And she's going to kind of like take in your countenance. And she is going to very calmly look at you, and put her things down and ask, is there anything that you need? In this sort of like collected, calm sort of voice.
Dove is going to look over to Felyn.
Felyn will nod and say, we have questions.
Everyone always does.
I'm trying to think of which one she should ask first.
That's fair. I will say something of note about her saying that is that she almost sounds exasperated when she says it, but afterwards she kind of like schools her expression again, almost as if she is mollified by what she said. She doesn't give a sorry, but she looks like she's like, nah, I'll reel it back, you know what I mean? What's y'all's passive insight?
Oh,
That's a good question.
I'm gonna say 15.
16.
You can kind of get this feeling, even though she is particularly hard to read. You can't read a lot from how she is acting, but you can at least tell or glean that she is making an active effort to treat you a specific way in this interaction. It feels manicured how she's trying to present herself to you.
think Felyn will just ask, what is the plan? What are we supposed to do here?
Are you going to look for her? And him?
I'm going to try.
Is that why
Unfortunately,
you
my
took a
aunt's...
leave?
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Dove said, is that why you took a leave?
It is. I do not feel like I will be able to be at my full capacity grading the quality of raised skeletons for a short time. You see that she goes to kind of look at both of you and say, none of the answers I have are ones that you are going to like, but all the plan is to do is prepare and wait. Fortunately, there's very little that can be done right now, especially for you, for lack of a better way to talk about it. I've already contacted Teferi, and I will be doing my own search, and hopefully his abilities at scrying will be lent to the search, but I will be doing my best to make sure that at the very least they are unharmed.
How long do you think we'll have to wait then?
Well, considering this is the first time any of us are doing this, it could take quite a long time. I was on my first plane for 2 years before I left.
So you're telling us that we have to sit back and wait on you again? That there's nothing we can do?
If you have any ideas, you can bring them to the table now. If there's something you want to do. I'm telling you I'm doing what I can. It's not you're waiting on me, it's I am helping you. I am helping you in a way that no other planeswalker has gotten help yet.
Like you helped us when you brought us here?
Yes.
We would have been safer if you left us in our own home planes at this point.
Would your families? You should be grateful that everything that you are going to experience will not touch them here. I gave you the safety of
you
numbers.
were going to help us experience it safely.
As
And now
safely
they're
as
gone.
I can. And they could be fine.
They could be dead.
And that's the risk that people get when they are planeswalkers.
Nobody asked for this. Nobody asked to have that. Nobody asked to be brought here and be lied to.
I have very rarely lied to you about something that has mattered.
But you have lied.
I have. I don't have to tell you everything about me. And I'll be honest about that. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this one time. You are not children, and I'm not going to treat you like children. I didn't bring you here under the guise that you would be perfectly safe here, because this will follow you for the rest of your life. This danger, these threats, this machination. The only thing you will ever be able to do is save yourself. What I have given you is knowledge and numbers and connections. And I've given you the chance to experience that away from your families. The amount of planeswalkers I have met that have dead families is innumerable. If I told you what has happened to mine, I don't think you would be able to live with if that happened to you. A planeswalker's life is unhappy, and it is full of strife, and it is full of fighting. I have given you all the help I can, but I am not here to babysit you. If that's what you want, I can treat you like children. But I am giving you the tools to be able to save yourself. And if you don't want to do that, you can leave. I'll let you, but there will be people keeping an eye on you for the rest of your fucking life, and that's not a threat from me. And you see that mask of how manicured she is talking to you is starting to slip. That is not a threat from me, that is a promise. Because planeswalkers beget planeswalkers. and people will always be able to know, and it will follow you. But you can leave. Or the best way to get out of this situation would be to die. Now I'm going to go and actually do something that matters, like trying to scry and find them. But if you have plans, I would love to hear them. What you think you can do in this situation. You see, she takes a second. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask if Felyn was going to say anything, but go ahead.
I think Felyn goes to say something, thinking that she has something, and then just stops when she realizes that whatever idea she had wouldn't work.
You see in this sort of pause where both of you don't have a response to say, you see that she kind of takes this second to pull in a deep breath, and she closes her eyes, and you can see the etchings on her skin and the way that her brows furrow. And you see her go to say, some of that isn't fair. I had meant to say these things to you slowly over time so that you would be better prepared for when this did happen. And you see she kind of goes to look over. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Dev would just kind of cut in and say, I think they're, when she was fucking going off at them, I think their fists just balled up, white-knuckled at their side. Well, they didn't say anything, but they're so pissed off.
That's fair.
They're so upset. Dev would just say, I don't want to be treated like a child, so please drop the mask, because the worst situation has already happened. I understand that it could be worse. You don't have to tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to mask your emotions for us. Because gods know that we can't anymore. So what does it matter? I was told that Strixhaven was supposed to be the most powerful magical academy in all of the planes, and that it was supposed to be protected. And aside from what happened, we have been attacked twice in the beginning of the year since we got here. I don't know why. I thought that it was supposed to be secured after the first time. And it happened apparently a year ago, and it keeps happening. And at this point, it's not even the planeswalkers that are in danger, because if it wasn't planeswalkers that were out there, they would have died. And that's what I'm trying to say.
Strixhaven is a very well protected and a very safe school. Just not for you. And not for people like us. I'm saying that we have brought this strife here. They don't have to be targeting us. Call it bad luck if you want. Call it bad karma. Call it like attracting like. But I can tell you that what happened last year was because of people like the Kenriths. And because of me being here. And no one died. Thankfully, we were able to protect that threat. You don't have to think that Strixhaven is safe if you don't want to, but when people call it safe, it is for them. But that's what I mean. That this will always be a problem. You'd best make your peace with it now.
I'm sorry to cut in, Felyn. You said you had words you wanted to say to her? I think where they still hold Felyn's hand, I think they kind of just squeeze her hand a little bit.
Oh. She squeezes back. How do I want to word this?
I would love to hear how you want to word this. Sorry, everybody. Onyx is a bitch.
No, I
I
knew.
love
I
her.
knew. I knew going in. It's okay.
I just think she's so fascinating.
I think we have both made it abundantly clear. We do not want to be treated like children. We also don't want to be left out of the loop. If there has to be some way to expedite the process, to make it easier, to have multiple resources put into it as opposed to just you scrying. There has to be more that we can do. And if there is more that I can do, I want to do it. So give us more direction than just sit on our hands.
I'm not saying to sit on our hands. You see, she takes a second and she backtracks and she says, "That's a reasonable request, and I will be keeping you updated on how we do." What my original thought process was is seeing if Teferi could find them the same way that he found you to begin with. We already have magic in the school with the intent to utilize the spark. Our thought was to reverse engineer. And I was going to go check planes because unfortunately, as I said, this is the first time we have ever tried to find a sparked individual. This is the first time a coalition of planeswalkers has worked together in this capacity long term.
Would you take us with you? I
No, you just talked to me about safety and danger and not being protected, and I not only would I move faster than you, but I would not be able to count on you not dragging me down. I could work faster on my own. And when I said at the beginning of this conversation was to prepare, because when we do find them, we have the benefit of having a large number of planeswalkers that are naturally stronger than most magic users. Bear none, regardless of how trained any of you are. I was going to tell you when I find out where they are so that we could go and get them. But we need to make sure that there's not a trap. We need to make sure that we will not lose more. And we need to make sure that it's even feasible. The multiverse is a dangerous place. But I haven't kept you in the loop, as it were, because I didn't have anything to tell you. Wanting to ask is valid, and I am being as transparent. I'm being transparent. I'm telling you everything I know on the table right now, and unfortunately, that's not a lot. Contrary to what any of you have thought of me, because you've made it abundantly clear, I do have your best interests in mind. I do not want them to die. I do not want them to live the same life that I, or Teferi, or Jace, or Vraska have had to live through. We cannot turn that into zero, but we can minimize it. So know that I am looking for them. And I will tell you when I know things. If you have other questions, you can tell me. But
what I what I said to you also wasn't fair, and I'm sorry for that. I want to find them also, and thank you for trying to look for them and even taking the time away from your classes to do so, because despite everything, you don't have to do that, and I understand that.
you see her go to sort of nod, And I feel like there's a really interesting moment of understanding between both of you, um, in your different stances, where you both now have kind of been like, I feel these things. It is unfair, but we still feel them. You know, I think it's a very interesting situation that you guys are at in an impasse.
Mhm.
Um, I I don't think she goes as far as to say thank you. I think she is more stoic than that. But I think that you get the feeling that she has accepted what you have said,
Okay.
and she has definitely
Yes.
backed off of how mad she was.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Dev's saying a lot right now.
Don't
Dev
worry,
is
she's also saying a
emotional.
lot right now.
Yeah. I think Felyn is just going to um nod and give like a short little bow and just say thank you. I It is a hard time, but
It's sorry, go ahead.
uh as I was gonna have her say, it's a hard time for us, but it is also a hard time for you in regards to Onyx. Thank you
You,
for your honesty.
she goes to nod a bit and she says, "It's always harder when you don't know what to expect. I should have anticipated that the first couple times that this have happened, it would have been hard to corral. I have." She goes to kind of give a wry sort of smile and she says, "I'm a teacher. I know what it's like to have to deal with students. So I should have expected it to be more difficult in a situation where things like lives are on the line." Um, Earlier you said that, I know you've backpedaled from this, but earlier you said that the worst had already happened, but you understood that it could still be worse. I think some more transparency here might potentially make you feel better or worse. I can't really speak for it. I'm not
I
going to
would.
unload it all on you if you would like, but
I think honesty would be best in this situation, and
it's not honesty. I was going to offer to tell you the story of how I sparked, so you could use it as a way marker. What
That
is
would be appreciated, I think.
You see her go to nod and she says, "What's happening with Motiva and Ashan is not ideal. It is not good. It is not happy, but it is not nearly the worst case scenario." And you can see that she goes to sit down in her chair and she sits with a weight. She sits down in a way that makes you feel that she has to be older than she looks, because she feels like she's holding herself with such a weariness, and she looks as if she's not a day over a human 30 years old. And she goes to kind of look at the painting behind her, before shaking her head and saying, "I come from a plane called Dominaria, and I was born in a place called the Caligo Forest. I'm sure you don't know much of them, and that is not important set dressing, but you start where you start. I was a phenomenal healer growing up. I was a prodigy, and with overconfidence comes a way about moving about life. And it was a way that took me a long time to move from. I said what I said about how I could tell about how you guys feel about me, but that is not an uncommon thought. I have been hard to deal with. But back then I was young and I had the healing divine light of the gods at my fingertips, and I felt like I had my whole life planned out ahead of me. I had a small family. The only other sibling I had was a brother by the name of Josu, and he was a decorated soldier. He was the apple of my father's eye. And one day he grew very sick. A curse of some kind it must have been. And you don't need all of the gritty details, but I was manipulated by a more powerful planeswalker, as I have come to realize. But at the time, I thought he was a spirit. At some points, I thought he was a demon. Something not of this world, not of this plane. And he told me exactly how I could cure my brother. And I did it to a T. And by my own hands, I turned him into an undead monster that proceeded to kill every person in my house. And I was thrown across the multiverse. And it took me 2 years to be able to go back and find the burned ashes of my home. I only last year realized that he's still around. And I had to be the one to put him down. Being fearful of losing your life is not a minimal experience. But sparking because you are attacked by something powerful and then it saving you, potentially. If they're unharmed, it could have been very lucky that they sparked when they did. When I speak about how this can touch the planes around you and how it will come to you, I mean it, and I have seen it.
Thank you for telling us.
Thank you.
She goes to nod, and there's a really interesting cast to her face where she is talking about it, and there sort of is a bitterness, but there is almost no. I don't know how to describe this because saying there's no real pain is like incorrect because it's not a false reaction, but you can see almost that she is numb to what you are learning would be horrifying to experience. You know?
I won't offer you any false understanding or pity or my sympathies because I'm sure that people may have tried and I I could never understand what you went through, but for what it's worth, I am sorry that you had to go through that.
You see her go to sort of nod, and she goes to sort of say, well, for what it is worth on my end, that is kind of you to say. But that was lifetimes ago. And you see her go to pick herself back up and sort of go to pick up some of the things that she was trying to put together and say, I mean, in the end, at least it made me the best necromancer in the multiverse. And there's sort of a wry, crooked sort of tilt to her lips that doesn't quite reach her eyes. I might be slower than Teferi, but I know a good number of places I can look. It's harder to search analog because they could have been flung to any corner of the plane, but Planeswalkers tend to stick out if they're not smart enough, so if we're lucky, maybe she hasn't been covering her tracks that well.
I've not known Motiva to be one that blends in very well. I think she's allergic to it.
That's what I picked up. But I will keep you posted as I find anything.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you.
of course, I understand it may be hard to focus on things like school, but taking the time to hone your own skills and become stronger is a worthy use of time right now.
I've learned a lot from this, so I will.
All right. And unless Felyn is going to say something, I think that she is going to walk out.
Yep.
Yep, she is gone, and you are left standing in her office with the haunting painting of the man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Felyn. I knew that you came to ask her questions.
I think I got my answers. Thank you. Right. Well, I suppose I can't just do nothing. I preparations. Preparations must be made. And you see she kind of is switching back into that sort of mindset that she had on her way here of things need to get done.
Mm-hmm.
And without really paying it. Oh, go ahead.
Dev was just going to ask, do you think you're going to drop your classes?
Yes, that is likely. At least for the time being. I I would find myself too distracted to sit through classes at the moment. I need to spend time on this.
There will be an expedition. You could prepare for that.
I will. You will be okay?
Eventually, I think I will be.
Okay.
I'll
I
go ahead.
I I may be keeping myself busy, but if there's ever a time that you need or want me or my company, do not hesitate to seek me out. I don't care what I am doing, I will drop it.
Felyn.
You're important too.
You're important to me too. And you need to take care of yourself too. If I catch you in the biblioplex having not left for a week, I won't let you leave.
I will try my best.
Will you be okay?
I have to be.
No, you don't have to be. That's what I thought. Look where it caught me. You don't have to be okay.
Why must you make sense?
It's my curse.
All right.
I'll be back to the dorm probably at the end of this week.
I look forward to seeing you then.
We can do something nice together if we feel like it.
That would that would be nice. This has been a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah. I'll try to find you and bring you food and drink sometimes if you're still in there.
Thank you. Could you also bring Uli some food?
Has Uli not eaten?
No, he has. I just brought
Oh,
him with me, and I fear that if I neglect myself, I don't know. Uli
yes,
doesn't have to deal with.
of course I'll bring Uli some food.
Thank you. Even if he is already eaten, he will enjoy the treats.
Everybody, that was really good. I don't normally do this, but I think you both deserve cool inspiration points that you can use. You can have a point of inspiration.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Wow!
not gonna do the time limit because that lame, but that was really good. And that was really cool. And I really like how there was a really cool connection between you guys. And I like to think there was a cool connection with Onyx. Again, I'm really sorry that she came in really hot, but like she's just like that.
She's just like that, and I love and appreciate her for it.
I thought this was a really
Yeah.
good scene, and I think you guys did really good. So you guys can mark that down somewhere, and you can use it for whatever you want.
Woo.
Woo!
Beyond
Um,
has a little button.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
little button at the top. I have to use the bathroom again. But if you guys want to decompress and talk to each other, we can take a little break before the second event because it'll be like kind of important, but it'll be a lot less heavy than this was. Okay, so we're back. We're back on play. Um, this now would happen 4 weeks after this talk with Onyx, as a separate thing that has happened. And you said, Dove, that you would be back at the school and also probably back in the dorm, right?
Yes. Also probably back to looking like Dove, talking like Dove, all that good
Okay.
stuff.
Cool, 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 cool,
Oh.
cool. If you guys can think of anything off the top of your head that like you think um you would spend your idle time doing um as the weeks sort of progress along, it doesn't have to be something super in depth, but like if it's like doing sword forms or like how Felyn's working out and stuff like that, like something you would be doing around the dorm because this would happen at the dorm.
I think Felyn is doing the working out thing. I think she's also working more on her magic studies, her independent studies, so that she can get that levitate down.
Yes.
Um, I think Dove is also practicing with their sword and like also doing exercises because they've also started um trying to get better in that regard.
Delicious. You can actually talk to me after the game too because you can work towards more proficiencies and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so we'll definitely say that both of you guys are kind of doing that. This is a moment of sort of calm, that you guys have sort of gotten into the groove of using your idle time, not trying to sit around, and you're worried, but like the fear is sort of starting to ebb from you. Occasionally it will bubble up, but it's always better when you have something to do, when you have something that feels really constructive and that makes you feel less like you're weak or useless, you know? Um, and it's this moment of quiet that makes this happening really stark when it happens. Um, it's very frequent for the first year dorms for some people to keep their door open as like a way of being inviting or a way of promoting community and that sort of thing, airflow even. But as far as I'm aware, I don't think your dorm has ever truly been like that. So it is a surreal moment when somebody throws your door open so hard that the doorknob cracks into the wall.
Oh my god.
And I would love for you to tell me your immediate reaction to this in this moment of calm.
Um, I think Dove like starts like and I think like their grip on like their sword just tightens as they turn towards the door.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Felyn is jumping up and is perhaps holding some kind of magic at the ready.
I do enjoy that. So as you kind of hear your doors smack into the wall, you see that it actually is Chad at your door. And he
Oh.
looks harried. Like his clothes are like half thrown on, his hair is a mess. He looks wide-eyed, like wild-eyed. He looks like he doesn't know where to look. And the minute he can see both of you almost preparing to like fight because he came in so hard, he looks at both of you and says, "I know where Motiva is.
What?
I know where
Where?
Motiva is.
Where?
Where?
Mike, because and you see that he's still like having a really hard time like being able to like talk straight, and he's like, I got a sending from my dad, and he got this weird letter, and it was like, why are you meeting up with this girl in the swarm? And I was like, I don't know any girls in the swarm. All my friends know that I've been gone for months. And he was like just grilling into me, and I was like, this is so weird. Why is this even happening? And he told me it was signed by Motiva, and I think it's in code.
Throws their sword to the side and they go up and they start grabbing his
I-
shoulders. I'm like, this could be the best thing. Oh, Chad, thank you. Thank you.
You guys are all just like fucking clinging onto each other as you guys are all fucking like there is a light in all of your expression right now, as it feels like there is something tangible in your hands right now.
Dev
And
hugs that motherfucker so tightly.
he picks you up. He's like, and I know because she mentioned a station, and I'm gonna actually give you the written text
Oh
of the
my
letter,
God.
but I'm gonna read it out to you first, right?
Okay.
Because obviously, you wouldn't have it physically at all because it was sending to his brain. But let me get it really quick.
This is for the recording. I was right.
Yeah, you were right. It was really funny because you were so right, and then you psyched yourself out, and you were like, "Oh no, you don't have to make me feel better. I know I'm fucking stupid." And I was like, "No, you were so scarily right."
No. No, actually, because you tried to psych me out, and then I was like, oh, I guess, and then I believed it again. I was never fully psyched out. I've always believed it was Ravnica.
Yes. And that's fair because I gave you my little hints. But back to the sauce. The letter goes. And what's really interesting is that Chad might have talked really scatterbrained in that moment, but when he tells it to you, he can recall it almost word for word, which I think is interesting enough of note. And the letter goes, Chad, I know it's been a while, but I can't bring myself to see you yet. I know joining the swarm made you upset with me, but I can't bring myself to live in the city. My body is changing still, and I think the Fae curse put on me is taking its toll. Even if I work like I used to, my body is crumbling from the pain. I can't go to the surface. But I miss you. I work near the stations. On my lunch, we stop near Kurskaya. I'll be there for an hour every day a week from when I send this letter. I'll do this for 5 months, and if I never see you, I'll accept I never will. With care, Motiva.
Does it look like it matches her handwriting? Or no, I'm sorry, it's not a thing.
It is not a physical thing. It is a thing that was told into his brain through sending.
Damn it.
But I will put this in important documents.
And it was her voice.
No, my dad was telling me about it. It was a letter sent to my house that my dad was telling and grilling me about.
God damn it.
Yes, it's. We have. Does Onyx know?
What I couldn't find her, and I don't know sending.
No, we have to go tell Onyx right now. Right now. We have to go tell her.
I am grabbing Chad's arm and we are running.
Delightful. Do you go to her office?
Yes.
She's not in her office.
Fuck!
Hashmal!
Hashmal, what is Onyx?
If you ask Hashmal would say that she's been off campus for 37.5 hours.
Is there anybody who could contact her?
Please.
Please speak to Doriga if you would like sending scrolls.
Doriga!
Okay, sorry. I'm just illustrating to you that it would have been really, really hard to find Onyx, but you can go to Doriga and you can get a sending scroll.
No, I understand. Doriga, we need a sending scroll right now, please.
Please.
Sorry.
Doriga.
Doriga takes in your harried expressions and will write you a sending scroll. I assume you say that you're trying to contact Onyx and Onyx is off campus, and she's like, okay, fine. And she says, but I'm only giving you 2 because she's on leave. We can't have students harassing her a lot.
That's fine. We just need to send her one message.
Okay. I'll give you 2 just in case. You always need more sendings than you think you need.
You're not
Thank you.
wrong.
Okay, so Darika's gonna write you up 2 sending scrolls for Onyx. Now you guys have to tell me what you are telling her, and I am a bitch, and it has to be the 25 words.
Okay,
Yes.
let's brainstorm this. Let's sit down with
Yeah.
Chad and brainstorm this. We
Yes.
can go back to our dorm.
Okay, we go to the dorm, and you guys are all just fucking like sitting at the table, fucking freaking out, harried, fucked up. Ooh.
So, Chad, when did you say that you received this sending?
I got it right now. He woke me up yelling at me.
I'm so sorry, but thank you. You just changed everything.
I know. I was just I knew the minute I found out that I had to tell somebody. This is the breakthrough we needed. And this is actually a really good time for me to tell you guys that obviously everyone on this floor has been fucked up by this happening. This is not just like you are fucked up in a sea of people who aren't fucked up. Other planeswalkers have also been extremely worried about what this means.
I
Yes.
I was the one who told everyone about what happened. Should we go tell them? It's not a definite thing yet, but it's better than nothing.
We should figure out the sending first, and then once we get the message through and hear back, then I think it will be safer to tell them.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I think Chad would
Okay.
also agree with this. And now Chad is fucking head on the desk.
Yes.
Fucking
What are the most important facts that we need to get across to her?
we have to
Uh,
name drop. We have to name drop Kurskaya Station because that's what she said that she is gonna be
that's where she'll
at.
be, yes. And the specific time and for how long she'll
And
continue doing that, I think.
and uh,
Obviously, Ravnica.
no, I think no. If we mention the swarm, she'll know it's Ravnica, and that's really important
Okay,
because the swarm are kind of fucked up and they're in their own specific spot, and it would narrow it down. I think.
okay. Um, should we mention that we think it's a code of some kind?
I I don't know. I've been thinking about it, and I don't know because
We
it
we
sounds
could we could
weird, right?
It
it does
does.
sound weird. We could also we could mention the basics, but then also say that you received it, Chad, and to come back as soon as she can for details if if we need to. Or
I
I guess she would just go there right away. I don't know.
we should we ask if we have any like I don't know orders like things to do right now about it if you know.
We could include that. We have 2 sending spells to work with, so we have a
Yes.
bit more real estate.
Okay, we have the most important stuff first.
Yes.
Locations. Yes. Ah, if I had the fucking letter, we could track that one, but it's all the way in fucking Ravnica. My dad probably already threw it out.
Also, I know this is not the most important thing, but he yelled at you for having.
Yeah, cause my dad's like a senator, and like they don't like the swarm. They didn't like the idea that I was. It sounded kind of like I don't know, like Romo, I guess, and he was mad at the idea that I might have been seeing a girl in the swarm or something.
I shouldn't say anything mean about your dad. I won't say anything else.
No, it was kind of fucked. It's fine. It's also extra confusing because I already don't know anybody in the swarm.
Well, I guess you know her now.
Motiva joined the swarm. She's been in Ravnica for a couple weeks and she's already joined a guild?
Maybe she didn't have a choice. I don't know.
Oh, fuck. The Golgari can be really fucked up sometimes. What if that's the code? What if they're watching her?
That would
That would
make a
make
lot of
sense.
sense if she name dropped a place that she'll be, and she's not allowed to go to the surface otherwise, but she'll be there for an hour for that long. That probably means that it's her only time that she can get away. I don't think she would be that specific if they allowed her to just leave whenever.
Oh, fuck.
Chad, you're a genius.
Oh no.
Motivas with the swarm. We'll be at Kurskaya station on lunch, only an hour. She's being watched.
Is that the whole 25 words?
Let me count.
That was Chad also asking because Chad was trying to keep up with it.
18 words.
18 words. Maybe change Swarm to Golgari since we're not saying Ravnica. She should know, but I don't know if Onyx has been to Ravnica or not.
Okay.
Divas with the Golgari. We'll be at Kurskaya Station an hour after lunch.
Then should we mention an hour every day?
Oh, that's right, because
Yes.
it's every day, yeah.
Just
let me also go ahead and put this.
to give her a better timeline to work with, I suppose.
I don't know how to spell Golgari, but
Oh my god, you got it right.
Yeah.
nice.
Okay, that's 20. Okay, we technically have 5 more words to work with. We have a lot of information, so maybe more real estate is good on this one.
Yes.
What should we do is 4 words if we wanted to do that, or we could do that on the second one.
We could elaborate more about how we got this information and what we should do with the second one, I think, but we should
Okay.
finish this up first. We should use as much as we can.
Okay.
Should we mention that she's in pain?
Maybe. Could be real bad. I think it would be good to make sure Onyx knows that it's kind of bad.
Well, I have the rest of the 5 words. Fey curse causing her pain.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, this is the first one, and then we have the second one for the rest of it.
Yes.
Okay. Delicious. So now Chad can't say anything because I have to make my response, but you guys can talk amongst yourselves. This will be recorded.
For the second sending, we want to ask what we should do.
I think so. What should we do? And then we should probably mention that she has a time limit on this.
Yes.
It's a big time limit, but it could still be hard to find her.
What should we do? Motiva has a time limit, 5 months. It's 11 words.
We could mention that Chad received a sending from his father, but I don't know if she needs that information.
It could help if only for the sake of knowing that we have verified it.
True.
Okay, you have your first response. Who sent it, by the way?
I don't know. Do you want to send it though?
I can, or you can, since, like, you're the one who wrote it out. It's up to you.
Sure, why not?
Okay, I'll send it to Sarah, and then Sarah can send it to... I know that's kind of a dumb specific, but you would get this
No, I
information
understand.
first.
I understand.
Let me read.
You can tell by how sporadic this is that Onyx seems to be very familiar with the restrictions of sending.
Yes. I think Felyn is just going to repeat the words out loud.
Okay.
Ravnica, then. It could be a trap. Very specific. Golgari is tricky, very aggressive, hidden. We'll have to play it safe. Research. I'll send scouts.
I will send
Okay.
it in here now so you can look at it for reference.
Thank you. I think now that we have a response, we could mention about the specifics in which we received it and the wording of it. It does definitely seem like it would be a trap. It sounds like she's saying that we shouldn't go until she's more figured it out.
Okay. Understood. Received this information from Chad's father. Her message was coded. Could be a trap. It's 15 words.
I have 10 more.
She's going to look different. She said her body is changing still.
24 words.
Oof.
I love the idea of just putting help ? At the end.
Yeah.
um,
Help?
uh, if you think of a better word, that's also. I just think it's really funny the concept.
I think this is good though.
Okay.
I think this encompasses as much as we can possibly get.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm so glad that she knew someone in Ravnica where she was.
It is quite fortuitous.
I hope Ashan is okay too.
Yes.
Sorry that I only had this bit. We'll get them.
We will.
You helped a lot though, Chad. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
This is better than nothing that we had before, trust me. You know what this means? If this is like a romantic thing, this means that you're the one who saved her, technically.
Wait. You see an interesting thing as like he like goes to like lean back, and I do not know how to illustrate how all of a sudden it feels like there is no thoughts behind his eyes as he goes to say, it's a romantic thing.
Is it?
Chad? You know, here, let me tell you something about Motiva. Motiva loves to butt in, essentially, with our relationships, Felyn and I's relationships, and Ashan's. She doesn't really look after her own relationships, but if she wrote you specifically this letter, then there could be something there, and maybe you should think about how you feel about her. So, if there is something there, you can tell her your feelings when she comes back.
To be fair, it is also very practical. However, do heed that advice. I think it would be wise.
You see, there are 5 emotions that go on his face as he goes to put his hands on his head, and he's like, "Oh my god, she invited me to meet her mom!" and like slams his forehead on the table.
Sad.
Felyn pats his head. It's alright.
I won't speak for what Mativa feels, but
I hope you enjoy the idea of him being like, "Oh fuck, I'm a fucking idiot." I enjoy this. Chad will remember this. Also, I love this. Please let me write. I have the last like 5 words.
I'm sorry.
No, I love it. No, no, don't feel bad. I was trying to be funny. 1, 2, 3.
I understand that Mativa cannot actually like Chad yet, but the idea of being like, if there is something there, you better invite her on a date after all of this.
I love that it's I love the idea that this is like, I don't know, it doesn't have to be true, but this is ribbing that roommates would do. It's a fun little levity moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything has been so terrible. I just want one thing.
Just one thing, please.
Something really funny actually about you saying that to Ash. This is the one time I've banned Ash from knowing what is happening during a session. Because
Okay, I was
How
actually
is this?
figuring out what happened. Oops.
no, it's
Production.
because this is whenever plan making is starting, and I want you guys to be doing plan making very separately to make it authentic. I'm so glad I said something.
I now understand why Ash messaged me earlier saying that they were banned from the Chuck E. Cheese.
They are banned because they were like, "Oh, I'm so excited! I can listen to it as soon as it's done." I'm like, "No, you can't." And they were like, "What?" I'm like, "No, you can't. You know everything else that's happening. You can't know any of this stuff."
It's
Okay.
really fair. We can't listen to Motivas.
Yeah.
I've counted this like 4 times, and I think this is right. If it's off by 1, you can kill me.
Don't like that.
Thanks.
Do not engage. Do not engage.
Do not engage.
Oh, Ravnica is dangerous for her.
Yeah, that's what she said.
What's she doing? Whoa.
What the fuck did you do in Ravnica, girl?
Onyx.
Anyways, you guys can't send anymore because you don't have more sending scrolls.
Miss Onyx. Miss Onyx. Oh my
Miss-
gosh, she's fucking dead.
Miss Onyx, would you elaborate on that? No.
No.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, so there's that event. If you guys want to keep doing stuff in this event and talk about plans and talk about setting up things to do, this is why I had to have you guys together. This is a very important event for the midway point.
Very important. I
Yeah.
love this.
Yes. Also, feel free to compliment Ash for having this idea. I did not come up with this idea. Ash did, and I was like, that is so smart right now. Okay, yeah. So now it's just we just keep going until you want.
Whoop,
I
whoop.
think something very interesting. This okay. So I'm gonna cede this to you. Not necessarily in full character dialogue. But something very interesting about whenever you share this information, I think that like Chad in particular is very frustrated that they have to wait even though they know where she is. I think that you can kind of tell that he is antsy and would rather go sooner. But whether or not you explore that or agree is up to y'all.
I think Dove would tell him that we don't have to agree with it, but please do not go alone if you do not agree with it, and just please don't go alone is what they would say, I think.
I think Chad is gonna kind of work his jaw a little bit. And I think he says this, and you can tell that he's thinking, and he doesn't look at you. He's kind of looking at the table, and he says, "Are you saying you'd come with me?"
I would certainly come after you if you went on your own. However, it would be safer for everyone involved, you and her included, if we just
If
wait a moment.
listen, I would rather go right now too, but there's things that we have to consider. If we go right now without knowing the entirety of what's happening, then we risk putting her in more danger by exposing her plan. And this could be the only shot that we have at getting her back.
You're right. You're you're right. And you see, he
I'm
kind of goes and
sorry.
taps his fingers on the table. No, it's. I get it. I get it. I do.
I want her back as much as you do.
It just sucks because it feels like we got really close for a minute, but it's
We did.
still
No,
so
we're closer
far.
than we ever have been.
Yes.
Without you, we if she didn't know you, then it could have been years.
Now we can actually start making a plan.
Because she knows you and she knew your dad.
You know, I was gonna make you roll a persuasion for that, but that was really moving and full of emotion, so I think it actually connects with him. And he goes to kind of like nod, and he goes to kind of rub at his face, and then when he pulls his hands like back, it looks like he has like a game face on. He's like, "Yeah,
We'll keep you updated as soon as we hear anything, okay?
when we go get her, I'll come with
Of
you.
course
I
you'll be there. Of course you will.
I
You
gotta be
have
your man
to.
on the ground. None of you know
You
anything about
know
where
it
I'm
better than
from."
I don't know anything about
Yes.
Ravnica.
On that topic, and Felyn slaps down a notebook and readies her fancy little magic tattoo. In the meantime, can I please know everything about your home plane?
This is whenever I get to start giving you information because okay, here's the thing. Chad's information would be incomplete because again, he's not a scholar. He knows his wheelhouse and that's it, right? But
Mhm.
I can say because I know Felyn is immediately gonna research this because that's the bitch she is. School bitch.
Yeah.
I get to give you a lot of information about Ravnica, and if you want, I can give you a lot of information on like the swarm. You could try to find mentions of Kurskaya Station specifically. I could give you a lot of
Ooh.
information for this, and that can be the bulk of what you do during the second half, is getting all of this information.
I would love that.
While Felin is doing that, I would love to look over her notes later.
Yes.
I don't know what to say, but I would love to go update everybody because I really want the first years and the Kendris for sure to know about this development.
Yes, 100%. I love that. I think a lot of people will appreciate it. I do want to ask you exactly what you're telling them. Are you telling them everything? Or are you just saying we know where Motiva is, we're making a plan? Are you
Um,
mentioning like what exactly are you wanting to say to people? And then I
I
can tell
think
you.
I think Dev would ask for Chad and Valent's help in how to word it because like they would understand that they have to be very careful about what they say.
Mhm.
Um, and like we can do that after Felyn gets information, but I want Dev
I
to do.
Yeah, I can definitely send the information in a minute because I'm probably going to be sending like swaths of like snips for like Flynn to read, so we don't have to go over it like all right now, but I can talk about a lot of it. Um, but I think that Chad in particular's thing that he adds to how you want to word it is I think that Chad would say that it's kind of upsetting that all three of us like know that she's in pain and know that her situation is kind of fucked. So maybe as a way to sort of like raise morale and maybe make people feel better is just like pointing out that like we know she's alive, we know where she is, we're making a plan. But
I
anything
think
you
that's
guys want to
fair.
add? I just think that that's what Chad would add.
No,
Yeah.
I agree. I think there's no reason to rub more salt in the wound when there's nothing we can do.
Hmm.
Yes. I think that is wise.
Okay,
Okay.
so we know where she is and we're making a plan to go get her. That's do you think that's what I should say?
Yes.
Yes.
I also do think that Chad would think it's fine to talk about like where and maybe be like, we know the plane. If people ask like, oh my god, where's she's at, and they can be like, oh Ravnica, where like Chad's from, that sort of thing. But like obviously, if people look like they're gonna run off, maybe hold back on that because I was 2 seconds away from running off when I found out.
I know. I was considering
Yes.
not dropping the home plane, but I think if I say that it's dangerous and we're making a
Hmm.
plan to go get her, I think that should dissuade people.
Okay, I think so too.
Yes.
Okay, okay,
Specifically making a plan with the professor, I
Yes.
yes.
would be wise. Oh, if this may just be me hanging on to something from working as a medical cleric. Do not say with certainty that we are getting her back.
Fair, fair,
I
fair.
understand. I'll
Understandable.
I'll just keep it as it was. We are making a plan to go get her. That's not
Yes.
a promise of anything, but it is what we're doing.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, okay. I like how during the majority of that, Chad like had his game face on, and then after that, he kind of like went dull a little bit, and now he's like trying to get his game face back on again, so he can go tell everybody and raise morale because he doesn't want to be depressing. And Chad will actually go help you because I think that Chad would consider that a really important thing to do because I think that the first year dorm needs some fucking hope right now.
I feel so bad for everybody, and I think Dove is considering that to be really important too.
I have a really fun thing I want to do for you actually. I'm gonna have Chad give you the help action for this so you have advantage on this stuff. I actually want you to make a maybe a persuasion check or a flat charisma. I don't know which is bigger for you.
Um, for sure, persuasion.
Yeah, I want you to go ahead and do that because you're a folk hero. I think if you're going with the intent to raise people's morale, you could do it.
Okay. I will do that. In the meantime, I feel really bad. You can give Sarah like information if you want to.
Hello, Sarah. Is there any particular question you would like me to verbally answer right now? Because, like I said, I'm going to send you bunches of
Ooh.
snips. Um,
Bunch.
but I would love if you have any pressing questions right now, I can give you some verbally right now.
I think I'm gonna go with whatever Felyn would be first trying to research. Tell me of the Golgari.
The Golgari Swarm, yes. So very interestingly, you don't know anything about Ravnica really, besides anything that maybe Chad has maybe mentioned, but he doesn't talk about his home plane that often. Um, So the very foundations of Ravnica are these things called the guilds, and they are very reminiscent to dragon marked houses from Eberron, where it's like kind of these. um, entities that have a specific thing that they do for the city. They're all somehow tied into the city government in some way or form, and they are bound by a magical pact. It used to be a physical item, and now it is bound within a person called the Living Guild Pact. But the point of that is that there are 10 guilds, and they all do a specific purpose. And over the 10,000 years that they have been a thing, they've kind of shifted, and they have kind of became their own culture and identity because the guilds are all extremely different. If you are a part of a guild, you kind of align really heavily with what they're doing, especially because you don't have to join a guild. But of the 10 guilds, the Golgari Swarm, they are associated with the manas green and black. Um, they generally stick to the Undercity, and what their official thing is waste management, right? So they basically do this thing where they are creatures that live underground, and they sort of process trash, waste, and corpses into a way that's usable. And they do that by having things like rot farms. And so um, soup kitchens in Ravnica are run by the Golgari Swarm, and they're made with mushrooms made from these farms. You can't starve in Ravnica as long as you're willing to eat this food. And it's not bad. Um, People find it gross, but it's not like bad, right? It won't kill you. It's not poison. It's also not dead bodies. A lot of people think it's dead bodies. It's not dead bodies. It is mushrooms grown with dead bodies. An important distinction depending on the person. But that's their thing. But the issue comes is that they have kind of a bad reputation because of the fact that they are black mana aligned. Obviously, black mana aligned. Anything is usually kind of given a stigma to it. But because they are you realize as you research them, they're very Witherbloom core because the idea is like the renewal of life and death leads into life and like how it's important for things to die because of new life and that sort of thing. So they have a really strong pro necromancy thing. It's actually almost entirely made up of monstrous races or like liches. Like the lich to non-lich ratio in Golgari is insane.
Cool.
And they're also mostly populated by this race of elves called Devkreen, which are basically the dark elves of Ravnica. And it's very rare for a Devkreen to not be tied to the Golgari Swarm, and it's very rare for like an elf to be in the Golgari Swarm if they're not Devkreen. And so that's basically the whole shtick. Is that it's like they're scary, they're stigmatized, they're kind of fucked up, they live underground.
Ooh.
Yes, that's kind of the whole shtick. I'll give you a lot more information that you would be able to learn through research. But that's the big thing about the swarm.
Hell yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna do Dove's thing really quick, and then I'll come back for a second question if you'd like, and then we can save the rest for like other things. Because I know I'm sounding all over the place, but it's because I know a lot about this. I love Ravnica. I love Ravnica. So Dove,
Got a
you
22.
you did really good, and I think it also helps that like Chad is with you, and like you guys are both doing this, especially because you saw how hard everybody else hit. And like I know that you said that you felt like it was your fault that people were reacting badly. They would have reacted badly anyway. But it's really I feel like for Dove it was really upsetting to have to be very upset and then giving that hard news to people and then seeing how they were also feeling because it was a hard situation for a lot of people. And so now the fact that you get to go to these people and you get to rally them and be like we're like obviously not saying we're gonna get her, but like the air is that like we have something to do. We know where she is. She's okay, and Onyx is gonna try to get her. We are gonna try to get her. It is hard to escape the hope that is starting to come to the energy of the dorm, and there is almost like a chatter that you haven't heard in over a month, even after you leave, and it feels like you I don't want to speak for how your character is feeling, but it feels like you are starting to fall back into that role that you feel so familiar with because you are starting to feel like the Dove of Eberron and the Dove that you've always been because you now have a direction and you know how to save these people that are so important to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a really good moment. I think it's a really important moment. Felyn, do you have any more questions? I think Chad would also sit and talk with you for like a long time and like bring you books. I think like Chad specifically would be like, I remember this book from school.
Wait,
And read you
wait.
shit. So
I'm sorry, I have one more thing to say.
yes.
When Dove goes out to tell the first years, they come back and also mention that they're going to tell the Kenris, but they specifically look at Felyn and they're going to ask, I'll tell Rowan, and I can tell Will if you want me to, but do you want to tell him, Felyn?
uh, Felyn is like a little bit surprised at the question. Gets a little bit of like looks a bit embarrassed, and is immediately going to put her attention back on the journal and say, "You can tell him. It's okay."
Felyn, are you sure?
Yes, yes, of
That's good
course.
news. I'm sure he'd like to hear it from you.
Oh, it's fine. And I mean, the good news is good news.
Oh, okay.
Emotional damage. Wahoo!
Wahoo!
Delicious, actually. Yeah, you can definitely go and tell the Kenris. Your role actually won't go towards telling the Kenris because they're a bit more experienced. But you don't have to make a roll because I can tell you that they would be really relieved and ecstatic to hear that there is news. I know that you guys were very upset. But the Kenris were also very upset because this whole entire time they have been
I
framing
was there.
themselves. What's up?
I said, I know I was
Yeah,
there.
you were
Yeah.
there. You were there. Um, they have like put themselves as this idea of like I am here to help you. Like Onyx has her reasons to help you, and they are genuine. But like they were so empathetic, and they were working so hard to make sure that your time as a planeswalker was not bad. That it was very upsetting when this happened to them. Um, I do you think you tell them together, or do you think you tell them separate, Dove?
It depends on where they are.
They will
Dove,
probably be separate. They don't hang out together a lot, actually.
I think Dove would make a point to tell them both separately. Like, I
Hmm.
think they would keep trying until they found both of them because it is that important to them that they know.
Yeah, okay, so you'll go up to one and you'll tell the other. Okay, awesome. I will say this. I think that both of them, their main reaction would be this sort of tired, like excitement, a bit of light coming back to their eyes. I also think both of them would go out of their way to, like, not go out of their way. I think it would be a natural reaction to hearing this news. I think they would hug you. And I think they would mean it. I
Aww.
think both Will
Dove
and
would
Rowan would do that. I think it would be so relieving to hear that news.
Dove would hug them both too. And if they ask, I think Dove would be a bit more honest about the information.
Mhm.
Like not that they weren't honest, but like not
No,
veiling it, you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like it is upsetting, but
Mhm.
they can handle things, and I assume they would be there too. And they were all like really close to us, so if they
Yeah.
asked, Dove would tell them like
I definitely
more
think
about it.
I definitely think that they do ask, and I definitely think that like they are again both understanding. But I will say on a separate little thing, I think that Rowan hugs you for a bit longer than her brother would.
Oh my goodness. Hello.
I
Wait,
think I
can
think
I?
yeah,
No, go ahead.
I think that she would I think that she would be overcome with emotion and kind of hold you for a bit for a bit of time.
That's really fair. I think Dove would too. I think they've both been going through it.
You know that you know that kind of hug that people do where it's like kind of tight but not too tight, but like you just start swaying into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Rowan
Okay.
in you right now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sarah. I don't mean to keep cutting in. You could do your thing.
You're fine.
Gay people in my OBS.
Gay people in my OBS.
Awesome. Okay, Felyn, second question.
Hello. I want to look into Kurskaya Station.
Kurskaya Station, delicious. I will tell you this right now. There's not as much information on Kurskaya Station as the Golgari Swarm because I had to invent it, but that's okay because I will give you all
Ooh.
the information you can find on it. I will say that you can get a train map. Because fun fact, you will learn about Kurskaya Station. It is a thing called a locopede station, which is basically Felyn doesn't know this, but it's basically a metro. Um, and they're called locopedes because it's a locomotive centipede. Their version of a train is that they used to have like these centipedes that crawled on the ceiling and like carried little little seating cabins. And then
Oh
whenever
my God.
whenever they had technology, they were like, oh, like we can make this better. We don't have to rely on an animal anymore. But since they didn't, like their train was on the ceiling, they just made a metal one, so it has like these little legs that like crawl on a rail on the ceiling. So it's like a metal centipede, and you sit in a little house underneath it. So that's a locopede. So I'm going to be saying that word a lot, so I want to make sure you guys know what it is. But it's a locopede station. There basically is a metro around Ravnica. It's not the only way of traveling, but it's the cheapest way of traveling that isn't walking, because otherwise you would have to get an airship, or just naturally be able to fly. It is underground. It is not technically considered the Undercity, but there are a lot of tunnels that connect to the Undercity, and you think that's an important piece of information because that probably explains why Motiva has been able to get to Kurskaya Station, because it probably connects to a part of the Undercity that she's familiar with. It is specifically, I will have to look up which district I put it in, but I can tell you the exact district whenever I look it up, and I can give you more information again later. But basically, it's like a big metro station that you think connects to the Undercity, and you would be able to get access to like a map and other stations and like what's around it and that sort of thing.
Delectable.
Yes. Yes. Poses.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like my little event. I'm glad it put some spice.
Spice.
Yeah, and then you have a whole extra month. Again, we have interactions that we're still working on from the first half, and that's fine. I'm willing to backtrack and do interactions backwards. That's fine. This is a big, long time skip. I want to make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's. But then the second half of the month, you can tell me if you guys are like training in anything in particular, if you're doing anything, if you're like trying to do things to set up for a plan. Make sure to keep me posted on if you guys have a plan, and I honestly might give you guys a little secret server to like little secret channel to talk plan specifically.
Oh.
Tasty.
Actually, yeah, I'm gonna do that really quick.
Sarah.
I'm gonna do it in the off-campus section. I'm gonna make it text. I'm gonna make it secret. Make it
Felyn, you
extraction.
should totally tell Dove about your fucking drama with Will.
Does Dove ask about it?
I don't know if they would yet. Like her reaction was weird, but I don't know if it's enough to warrant like what happened.
I think Dove could definitely ask her about it, which I think is interesting because that was a little weird.
Yeah, that was a little
Any
weird.
Okay,
over the time of what?
no, sorry, you keep talking.
Over the course of this 2 months, if Dove ever mentions, or if anybody mentions Will around Felyn and Dove is there, that her being nervous or awkward about it would be very obvious.
Oh, definitely. Okay, yeah. I think I definitely want Dove, like probably when they're in the dorm and have some privacy, because Dove is not gonna fucking do that around Chad. That's not fair to Felyn. But like when they're alone in the dorm, I think at some point during this 2 months, I think Dove would ask about what happened, like or if something happened, because she seems a little bit off whenever Will is brought up.
I think. Sorry, I was reading a message. Okay.
That's fine.
I think she would. I think this is interesting because I feel like her gut response is to try and avoid the question, but it's Dove. And so she like stops herself from doing that, kind of chews on it a little bit. Um, very clearly looks embarrassed again, shrugs, and says, I just might have made a little bit of a fool of myself, but it's okay.
You you don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but I'm here for you. I I don't think you're a fool. What happened?
I uh, and she kind of covers her face and like falls back from wherever she's like sitting. And she's going to ramble out very fast that She stayed too long at the Biblioplex. She got too emotional, had a bit of an episode, went to the Kenrith dorm, uh, and Will was very sweet and let her sleep in his bed, and in the night kissed her. But then the next day, when she asked about it, he said and made it very clear that he had no intentions of pursuing anything.
Hmm.
No one liked that.
And
I think. Go ahead.
she's just gonna like, I shouldn't have even brought it up. I don't know why I brought it up.
No, Felyn, listen to me. You have feelings for him. It's when someone does something like that, it's only understandable that you would ask about it. That's not your fault.
I guess you're
Wanting a
right. I
defined relationship is not a bad thing.
thank you. I
Thank you.
suppose I just feel embarrassed.
No, it is always embarrassing when someone shuts you down like that. I understand. But you didn't do anything wrong.
Thank you.
So wait, though, did he like on the mouth that he kissed you?
Yes, it was right on the mouth. He
William.
he
And
apparently
then
thought
he
I
turned
was.
you away?
Well, I mean, I left. Uh, but
No, but he like, when you asked about it, he turned you away after doing that is what I mean. That's not
yes,
fair.
he also. I guess he doesn't. I guess he didn't know that I was trans. I think he thought I was asleep when he did it.
Okay. So, no, wait, let's think about this for then. I'm not going to let this go. Because if you think about it, so he thought you were asleep, and I don't think he's used to elves from where he comes from. I don't think he's been in near sleeping quarters to an elf. Probably. I don't know, but that's what I'm going to go off of. Because if he knew that you were semi-conscious, I don't think he would have done that without asking you. But so let's just say he thought you were asleep, okay?
Hmm?
So if he thought you were asleep and kissed you, he had nothing to gain from that. He did that out of his own feelings. Why else would you do something like that? And I will not speak for him or explain why he said what he did to you, but obviously, I think there is something there if he did that. And I I don't know, maybe he's just scared.
I I suppose maybe, but I
I
don't know. Maybe he's just the kind of guy to do that. I don't know.
Do you think Will is the kind of guy to do that?
I don't know how he is with relationships.
I don't know that he's ever been in one, Felyn.
Oh God.
But
I
I go ahead.
I I suppose I don't know. Even in the hypothetical where he does have feelings, he did make it very explicitly clear that he's not going to do anything about it. I I don't know.
I know. I I know that it feels embarrassing and I understand and this is it is a strange time for this to happen anyway because I mean, how would you go about solving this when everything is happening? It maybe he doesn't want to talk about it until they're back. Again, I can't speak for him, but I what I know of him, I don't think he wants to stop talking to you. I think he really enjoys your company, no matter what that feeling is.
I enjoy his company too. I don't intend to just stop talking to him. I suppose I just need it a bit.
I understand. I could go give him a piece of my mind.
Oh, no.
Give him the what for.
That will not be necessary. Thank you, though.
Of course, I'm always here for you.
On the topic of canvas, it's just gonna look at them.
Yes?
Is there any updates? Is you on the run?
Yes.
She immediately sits up.
Oh, you've got me. Okay. So it's not defined right now. And it came about in the least romantic way, I can assure you. It was nothing that caused. s- Actually, no, it did cause sparks. It was
Yeah.
not anything that you would read about in a romantic book, but basically, during the no, it was actually the first night that it happened, I think. Um, I went to their dorm because I wanted to be around Rowan and check on her, and I wanted comfort, I supposed, but I arrived at her door and I heard her on the other side of the door, and I could tell that she had been crying, and she was very curt with me, and she didn't want anyone in her room. But um, she recognized me from my voice through the door alone, and she let me in. Um, you know how she has the lightning powers?
Hmm.
She's not able to fully control them when she gets emotional, and she was in a really bad place, and the room was a bit trashed. And she let me walk past her into the room and stood up against the door and didn't come anywhere near me, I assume, for fear of hurting me, but I didn't care. So I approached her and I hugged her, and we just sat like that for a while and got into a bit of an argument about what happened. Um, about not doing enough for each other and never living up to things, but besides the point, it was kind of resolved, kind of not. We were both in a really bad place, and Rowan has issues about herself that I wish were not true, but they are. And but anyway, I'm not here to gossip about her. That's not what you asked. I'm sorry. Anyway, in the heat of the moment when we were in the argument, it basically came out that we really cared about each other, and Rowan didn't want anything to happen to me, and that she wanted to spend time with me while we still had it together. Um, so we slept together, for lack of a better word.
Oh my.
And after that, I went into the side room, and that's where I was staying, but we didn't have a conversation afterwards about what a relationship was now or where to go from there. And I think that for now we're both okay with that. Um, but later we can revisit it. It's up to our preference.
Felyn is just smiling. And she says, well, even if perhaps it isn't in any romance novels, I would argue that is quite romantic.
Thank you. It had its own charm to it for sure.
Gay people in my college campus.
Give people my college campus.
I like them. I think they are both so juicy.
I'm going to continue to give me more updates as things progress.
You're so nosy. Yes, I'll tell you.
I am simply very invested in the well-being and happiness of my friend.
And I and yours, Felyn.
Oh. Well, thank you.
I'll tell you though.
Good.
I don't know that
That's
we
a
have.
jiggy.
There's a jiggy. Is that everything?
I think so. This was a great place to end it, actually. I loved that. Okay, yeah, I'll
Woo!
go ahead and cut it right now. We got 2 whole hours out of today.
Damn.
Yeah. Sorry
Yay.
that it was like super long, but I also think it was very worth it.
It was so
Mm-hmm.
chunky and juicy. I really like how everything went. I'm really excited. I'm going to start uploading it right now.